welcome back. Today we're going to get the body on the car for the first time since we took it off when it arrived. We're going to trim the metal and get the body sitting correctly on the chassis. And then we're going to go ahead and fit the doors. So let's get started. First thing to go on is the foam that runs along the top of the rail here. I replaced mine with something a little bit more stout than what comes from Factory 5. And I just picked it up at local O'Reilly's Auto Parts, and I'll show you a part number here in just a second. That flat rubber is going across the top here on that side. It also goes on that arc on the back of the trunk. Next is we're going to move to the bulb fitting. Bulb seal just fits along the top of the trunk.
Turn it up a little bit.
Yep. It'll open it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Cool. I'm gonna have to cut this here because this kind of gets short.
Right.
So what we're looking at here, as you can see, we kind of run out of material to hook it to. So I'm going to trim this a little bit here so it can accept the bulb seal. That spot in between Gary's fingers there, we actually had to trim away that side of the part that grips onto the sheet metal because there's not enough there as it goes around the corner. So we had to trim that, and then we just continued on down, and you can see the rest of it actually looks pretty darn good. Just take your time, it goes on nice. All right, I hope you can see this. This is the way the rear quick jack goes on, okay? So you're going to have, basically, here's the bulkhead that it bolts to, then you have one long spacer, then you have a washer, the body, another washer, another spacer. Okay, we're going to change that up a little to make it easier to work on. What we're going to do is we're going to take this spacer here, we're going to place part of it with this large nut, okay? So the way that's going to end up working is you're going to have this firewall here, then this is going to come through and it's going to bolt to here with some red Loctite. And we're going to hold that sucker there really, really tight, okay? Now we're going to get rid of this long one and we're going to get a shorter one. I believe it's 5.5 inches. And then from the outside, we can just screw in to here like this. So we've cut this part out. We'll put this on like this, and it'll go there. Then washer, washer, body, washer, and then another spacer. So it'll go like this. But when you go to put it back all together, now from the outside of the car, without having to get into the gas tank and all that other stuff, I can just screw this in like this and lock it down. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and mount this portion here to the car, and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so here it is sticking out right here. This is put on with some good red Loctite, and then you got the one underneath, which you can't really see from here, but it looks the same. So now when I go put it together, I don't have to screw with any of this. I can just bolt it in there and be done.
All right, here we go. A little bit of a sped up version of us putting the body on. Like I said, 4 people is key. We want to lower the nose down on there first, and then you have your guys on the side spread the body out so it doesn't drag along the side of this car and scuff everything up. And then once you get the nose sorted, you kind of push towards the rear. Make sure the sides are out. Right now you can see the sides are kind of holding me up a little, so we give it a little wiggle and then the rear end just drops on there. And that's really there all is to it. You just take your time. Like I said, 4 people is definitely the way to go.
Okay, so we get everything lined up and we go, bolt goes through first, then a spacer, then a washer, then it goes through the body. We pick up another washer, and as you'll be able to see in a second, once I get my hand out of the way here, the other spacer goes in, and it goes together just like that. We'll tighten this up, or we'll snug it, then we'll put the bottom piece on, and that'll hold it together.
Okay, the front is pretty basic. I did it just as it's depicted in the instructions. There's not really much to talk about here. So it's 4 bolts with 4 spacers and nuts on the end of each one, with a little bracket that goes on the inside that goes behind the turn signal. Really quite simple. All right, I hope you can see this. Over to the right here, you can see how the bulb is expanded all the way, but when I come all the way over to the left, I don't know if you can tell, but in reality, it's all smashed down over here really tight, like almost all the way down. So we're going to have to trim this metal over here on the left. Okay, now with the body off again, our new friend here, Emmett, is measuring the portion of metal on that section we just looked at to see how much material we need to remove to get that bulb seal to fit properly. We had to do this on about 3 locations on the car. Just take out what's necessary for everything to fit properly. And here's Emmett removing that little piece with the Dremel tool.
Okay, you can see we just slipped the hood in position there and put some paint sticks in there, just kind of see how it's set. And actually, it looks pretty good. It's going to need a little trimming, but not too much. And now we draw our attention down here to the door hinges. And what we found on these is the way they're configured right now, they hit against the frame, or they hit against the body of the car. So what they told us to do is go ahead and put some washers behind here to kind of bring it out this way, and that'll make it function better. Now, we already did that on the other side, and it worked really well, so we'll do that over here. Okay, there's kind of a completed look right there. I hope you can see that. It's just finger tight right now, and that allows us to move the hinge freely. So next we're going to mock up the door and start that process. After Gary did the initial fit there, we realized what we want to do is raise the hinge up higher to give it a little better position. So that's what we're going to adjust right now. So basically what we're going to do is we're just going to keep going back and forth, adjusting the hinge, adjusting the mounting on the door until we get the door seated into the middle of the hole. Then we're worried about getting everything spaced out. And then once we get everything where we want it, then we'll look at trimming it and getting all of our gaps right. Okay, so Gary is still doing some fine tuning on the passenger door. And what we want to do is get the latch together so that we can put the latch in place and have a better idea where the door is going to sit. So the first step of that process is you get a strip of this noise dampening material here, and you just cut it up into 3 pieces similar to the sizes you see here. There's no measurements, so it's just an eyeball thing. And then you stick them in place as seen here. So there's one on the bottom, one on the back, and then I don't know if you can see this one back here. So that's the first step of putting this together. Okay, continuing with the latch, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the lever assembly and take this flathead, what they call it, a button head screw, 1/4 inch. We take it and install it like that, and then a lock nut goes over the top of it. Okay, there's the 2 completed handle assemblies. Now we're going to move on to the latch. All right, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take these 2 components. They come together like this. You just put these 2 bolts through them. Then you bring it over to your latch here. And what you're going to do is you're going to flip this over like this. And you're going to slide this assembly on like this. And it's going to line up with these 2 holes right here that you can see. And then we take Allen head and tighten that bad boy up right there. Like that. And here's our 2 completed assemblies. And you can see in there, those were the 2 Allen nuts that we tightened right in there to hold the whole thing together. Okay, the next piece to the puzzle is we're going to use this tap provided by the kit. And we are going to tap out the 2 small holes that are here and here, here and here on each one of the door latches. Okay, so I taped up where the latch is going to attach, and I went and mounted the striker in the slot, but it's loose enough that I can still move it around and adjust it. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the door latch for the correct side of the car, and we're just going to latch it on like that. Okay, and we're going to close the door, and what we want to do is we're going to match these up to the tape area I have here. We'll go ahead and mark it and get the door set on the latch exactly where we want it. We'll mark it on the door, then we'll drill the holes and we'll install the rib nuts. Okay, so once you get the latch and you get the door closed, you're going to go ahead and get your door set where you had it when you did your initial fitting there, okay? And then adjust the striker so that it's in the appropriate spot so that you can bolt it all up and make that work. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take this little tool that they call the rib nut tool. It's a little archaic compared to my cool guy one. But what we're going to do is we're going to slip this in here parallel to the latch itself. And we're going to use this as the spacer to set our striker and our latch where we want it. Right about there looks good. Once you get that, mark the outside of the latch. Double check yourself. Okay, now when you open the door, you'll put the latch up against here and you'll get the 3 holes where you're gonna set up your rib nuts. Actually, I have to take this apart. You gotta take this apart to do that. And there's a good look of the rib nuts installed on the door. Okay, before I let you go, I want to talk about a few lessons learned. All right, first of all, when we went to put the body back on, like I said before, 4 people is the right answer. I know they say you can do it with 2, but you're going to tear a lot of stuff up. Something that a lot of guys do on the rear of the car is they'll cover the bulb seal with plastic bags or stuff like that, some kind of covering, so that when you set the body on it, you don't cut it up. Because as you pull the body off and on a few times, you do, and I did, cut that bulb up a little bit getting the body on and off. Now, I expected to do that, and I have some new bulbs set aside, so when I put the body on for the last time, I'll put some new bulb on. But just be aware of that. I also wish I did a little better job. I didn't know we were going to sand as much as we did. I should have covered the car better before I put the body over the top. So that's going to be a hard lesson learned because there's going to be some cleaning up associated with that. As far as fitting the doors go, we didn't show a whole lot of that, but really it's just trial and error. If there's one bad thing I can say about the doors, it's almost they're too adjustable. There's too many options and too many ways to jack them around. But really, it's just trial and error. Get in there and try to get the best possible combination you can to get the closest fit possible. Then tighten it all up, and then you got to make up the rest with the Bondo, as you've seen other people do. And finally, the last thing we learned is there's not really a spec anywhere that I could find if you're going to have a second set of roll bars. However, there was small marks with paint pen on the chassis that seemed to be where they would install. So I called the factory, and sure enough, that those are supposed to be spot on for you to drill those holes to support your passenger side roll bars. And the last thing I want to add is I use the quick lift that I showed you in other videos. It allows you to lift the car up about 3 feet. And of course, you can adjust that up and down. And I got to say, I am super glad that I had it for this because it allows us to get the car to a good working height so we're not bent over trying to get everything sorted. So kudos to that company. All right, that's it. Okay, so that does it for this one. Be sure to join us on the next video. We're going to start working on sanding the body and sanding the body and sanding the body, and we're probably going to sand the body. See you next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe.